Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Miss Smith Show, where you will be learning essential life skills. Today, for our first episode, my very first guest for my first show is my better half, John. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being on the show. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Anytime.
Great.
Okay, so tell me, John, what are some things that you like to cook when you're at home?
I like to cook a lot of things. One of my favorite things is marinara sauce on Sunday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
I also like to cook fajitas, sausage and peppers, so a lot of things that require knife skills.
And chopping, yes, a lot of chopping.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, let's jump right to it. Here's a carrot. I'm going to dangle the carrot.
Wow.
How would you go about chopping this?
All right, well, I'll show you guys.
Okay.
I'm going to go with this knife here.
All right.
And I don't really have an exact science to it. I kind of just dive right in. I'm more about speed than anything else, but I kind of go with my finger tip right there and give it a few good chops.
Ooh, yikes.
That's usually the way I do it.
All right.
It's kind of worked for me, but yeah.
Have you ever had an accident doing it that way or close to it?
I've had a few.
Really?
Yeah, a few nicks, a few little chops on my nail.
Okay.
So a little painful.
So clearly, have you ever taken a family consumer sciences course?
No, we didn't have that back in the day. But
well, they did have it back in the day, but just not at the school that you went to.
Okay.
So I actually had an accident one time, and my finger came off. They put it back on, but they didn't do it well enough. Look at that.
That's funny.
Okay. So John, I noticed a few things that you've done wrong.
Can you share them with me?
Oh, I absolutely will.
Thank you.
First off, you have a cutting board, okay? These cutting boards, they slip and slide all over the place. Some cutting boards do come with little rubber things on the bottom, but right now we don't have the budget for that. So we have a slippery cutting board, which can be unsafe. So what we will do, I have a damp dish towel here.
That's a good idea.
Would you take a look at that? It doesn't slide, okay?
Can I try it? Oh, wow, you're right. It doesn't slide. It's a really
so
great
I have
idea.
one for you, actually, John.
You can go ahead and set that up.
All righty.
Actually, I'll move this here.
Okay, so I'm going to show you the proper way of cutting so you are safe the next time you prepare dinner. So when you peel a carrot, okay, you want to get those skins off. You use a standard vegetable peeler. You should always have a garbage dish nearby where you just put the scraps in. When you peel, you just do it away from you. Very simple, just like that, okay? We already have one. So you could use that half. So this is a nice peeled carrot, all right? I'm using a chef's knife, standard chef's knife, okay? If you don't have any other knives, a chef's knife is the one to have. Make sure it is nice and even and steady in your hand, okay? When I do cuts, John, I like to think of a boat on an ocean, all right?
I think I got it.
No, you don't have it because you're actually lifting it up. See, I am not lifting it up off of the cutting board. It's like a boat going over the waves. Okay, and then just to steady it, if you want to, you can place your left hand over the blade. All right, but you want to make sure that you have a nice, steady hold on the knife. Okay, so now I have my carrot. All right, it's a little rolly. It rolls around a lot, which is very difficult for me to keep it still. And what do you think can happen if I don't keep it still and I'm cutting? What can happen there?
It could roll off. You can go to grab it and cut your finger.
Absolutely.
A lot of bad things.
A lot of bad things can happen. So what we do, the first thing, we want to make a nice, flat, steady surface. So on the cutting board, you put the flat side down. All right, so I'm going to do a very basic chop. All right, we're not going to go in for speed. If we were in class, I don't want to hear this. All right, nobody's Gordon Ramsay. This is basic knife skills. So you're going to make your hand into a claw. All right, so your fingers, the fronts of your fingers are flat. So when you have the knife up against it, it can just go up and down. You can't cut your fingertips.
Interesting.
Right? So we're going to cut it. We're going to hold it, as you can see here, like a claw. All right? Like a claw.
Whoa.
All right? And you're just going to, with the base of the knife, just give it a nice slice. And then as you're moving your knife, you're moving your hand back with it. Okay? So you're moving from right to left if you're righty. If you're lefty, you're moving left to right. Okay? So I'm going to show you that again. All right? Claw, flat front. Then remember, like a boat on an ocean, you're not picking it up from the cutting board. Push that aside. Flat side down. Again. And we have some nice little pieces of carrot. I still have all 10 of my fingers, except for that one. So that is basically how I like to cut vegetables or fruit. So do you remember what the steps are that I did? What was the first thing that I did, John?
Well, one of the first things you want to do is make sure you have a nice flat knife. You also want to make sure that the knife is not leaving the surface of the cutting board.
Okay, but let's backtrack. What was the first thing I did?
The first thing we did is make sure we had a steady cutting board.
That's right, a steady cutting board. Okay, so steady cutting board. Or we'll say steady surface. And how do we do that if we don't have the rubber bottoms on the cutting board? How can we do that?
We're going to go ahead and use a dish towel.
You could use a damp dish towel, damp paper towel, whatever you have. Okay?
Yes.
Then what did we do?
Then we made sure we had a knife with a flat surface at the base. Am I right? So far?
Well, a chef's knife that is a
knife.
nice, weight in your hand. Nice, even. It's evenly distributed.
Mm-hmm. There you
Okay,
go.
so I'll put chef's knife.
Yeah, good progress.
Yeah. And then what else did we do?
We then took our carrot that we knew we had to cut, and we realized that it's round. And if it's round, it could roll off, which becomes unsafe.
That's right.
So we went ahead and we cut it in half, so you had a nice flat surface.
That's right.
And put it down on the cutting board.
So you want to flatten the base of the veggie. Or fruit, or whatever it is that you're cutting.
Mm-hmm. Then after that, once we had that done, we made sure that we did not have our fingertips on the edge of the carrot. So we went ahead with a claw, and we just went into a nice smooth cutting motion and making sure we're keeping our fingers away and just move back as we cut.
Right. So
Nice.
claw. The claw is very, very important. So do we have anything to add?
I'll say that I definitely learned a lot from this lesson,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to apply these skills to my next meal. So
Okay,
thank you
great.
so much for teaching me.
Oh, wonderful. So you're going to make dinner now?
I'm going to get started. So thank you very much. Have a good day,
All right.
everybody.
Thank you, John. Let's give
Great
John
job, Mrs. Smith.
another round of applause.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that is my first episode